Hey everyone, I'm super excited to be here at the Get Hired conference. I really enjoyed Yasmin Ali's speaking and skills needed as well, and I hope that you're already having a wonderful, fruitful time today. My name is Kelly González. I am the Director of Employee Experience and Diversity and Inclusion at Keep Truckin', and I have some of my information here in case you wanted to keep the conversation going after this as well. So please connect with me. Today, I'm going to answer a couple key questions. Are diverse and inclusive teams more innovative? Some of the keys to that innovation, how we create that culture of innovation and inclusion, and how can you assess if a company is diverse and inclusive as you're looking to get hired? So I'll start with this. There is so much data that points to the business case behind diversity and inclusion. And this is just one. I just have two cases here. This is a study that was done with thousands of employers, and it showed that all of the companies that had more diverse teams had higher customer satisfaction rates, greater productivity, less turnover, higher profitability. And there's so much data behind this. If you search any type of research behind it, you'll see that it does hit the bottom line. Diverse teams are better positioned to unlock innovation that drives market growth. And diversity further enables nonlinear novel thinking and adaptability that innovation really requires. So in this study, which is a different study of over 1,700 companies, they saw that the diverse management teams were more innovative than a less diverse team. And they use the indicator of innovation as the portion of revenue from products and services launched within the last 3 years. So companies with above average diversity produced a greater proportion of revenue from innovation, in fact, 45% more revenue, than companies with below average diversity, which only saw 26% more revenue. So this 19% innovation-related advantage translated into better financial performance. So it's really clear that connection between these diverse teams are not only making them more innovative and getting them to push their market growth, but it's translating to dollars. And so it's so key. And I know that many of you have heard this information before, but I wanted to make sure that I came to you with some clear studies that showed this, and there are countless others. But diverse teams are not enough. And I'm going to say it for the folks in the back, diverse teams are not enough. That's not enough. We can't just have people from different backgrounds coming together to discuss ideas. And in fact, the key to that innovation relies on an inclusive workplace. And I would argue that may be even more important. The workplace environment that supports a diverse workforce must also have an inclusive culture. So each employee knows that their voice will be heard and that they're a part of a valued team. So yes, there are some definite keys to innovation, and diverse teams is definitely one of them. And it enables that non-linear novel thinking and adaptability. But you also need to have high psychological safety and a sense of belonging so that everyone knows that they're safe to express different viewpoints and perspectives, regardless of age or experience level. And in fact, people are encouraged to do that by leaders. So because when all voices are given that airtime and everyone's ideas are considered, it drives both the insights needed for innovation and that creativity. And companies should build a culture where employees feel they can bring their whole selves to work, because it takes a lot of effort for me to change my personality. For you, right? It's an effort I could be using problem solving or coding or being innovative and creating something that will bring us revenue. Managers should build these connections with a wide range of people and supporting employee resource groups and foster that sense of community and belonging. Companies should explicitly assess belonging and psychological safety in internal surveys. And they should reward that agility and risk-taking and even embracing mistakes. Another key to that innovation and inclusive workforce is to have equitable access to opportunity. And note, I did not say equality, I said equitable. And equity is the guarantee of fair treatment and access to opportunity and advancement for all employees, while at the same time striving to identify and eliminate barriers that have prevented the full participation of some groups. The principle of equity acknowledges that there are historically underserved and underrepresented populations that need additional support to reach that fairness. So what does that have to do with innovation? Well, if all of your employees have if they don't have equitable access to that brainstorm room or information needed to problem solve, right? Then you're not going to enable that diverse workforce to innovate. And then lastly, our companies that we work for need to have that growth and action mindset. The reality is we all come to the table with biases. And when you bring a group of people together who are really different from each other, there's going to be conflict and sometimes even chaos. And that workplace culture must reward growth and giving and receiving feedback. We all make mistakes, but how we respond to that constructive feedback and how we correct that path is what really matters. So how do we create this culture of inclusion? I typically spend over an hour training managers and teams on inclusive leadership, but we're going to do a quick overview of some of the things that we do at Keep Truckin' so that you can see. I really do drive diversity and inclusion through 3 different aspects. One is accelerating the careers of our employees, our current employees. Integrating diversity and inclusion into everything that we do. It is not a program that we install and launch and then it's done. And we connect with the communities in which we work so that we can get best practices and recruit amazing talent, just like with Pakistani women in computing. Some examples of this are in the Accelerate category is really amplifying the voices and stories of our employees externally and internally through publications, social media, speaking opportunities, fireside chats, and leaders normalize that risk-taking by sharing their own mistakes and rewarding agility. We create spaces for underrepresented groups so that they can connect and collaborate and develop their careers through employee resource groups like Women at KT, Intersect Roundtables, Allies, KT Proud, and a variety of others. And then we do provide training to our managers because we can all improve on this, on allyship and a privilege inventory and identity exploration. On the integrate side, we do a lot of different things to integrate D&I into everything that we do. We regularly review data with our managers to see how it's impacting their team. We get feedback on our products and marketing from our workforce. We assess belonging and psychological safety in employee engagement surveys. We added our personal pronouns to our signature lines so that we could normalize talking about gender identity. We require 50-50 gender diversity candidate slate for director and above positions and diverse interview panels. So we're trying to implement different strategies amongst all of our different teams so that we can make sure we have that diverse and inclusive work culture. And we connect with the communities in which we work to drive that employer brand. Just like with Pakistani Women in Computing, we work with so many different organizations to get feedback from them on what we're doing, to have these speaking engagements, to recruit from their membership, and to also support organizations that are developing underrepresented groups. But how can you assess if a company is diverse and inclusive? Well, the reality is that, and I'm sorry to say that representation will likely be lackluster for many companies. So I would advise you not to be discouraged by that. And instead focus on how their teams interact with each other and their leadership philosophies and company values. The companies that are partnering with some of the groups I mentioned in the last slide is a really good start. It shows that they're putting time and money into improving. And there are other things that you can ask in an interview to shine some light on their culture as well. You can easily, just like you would do, I'm sure already, review their LinkedIn and website. What does the CEO say about D&I? Do they care about it? What are their company values? Did they start their company with embracing diversity like Keep Truckin', or do they have another value that aligns with yours? And who are they highlighting on their website? What are the faces and people on there? Do they have employee resource groups? Those are all things that you can do to look at their website and see who they're targeting. You can also, in some cases, maybe they don't have a great LinkedIn site. So you can ask some interview questions too to assess these things. Well, ask them what diversity and inclusion mean to them and why are they important here? How are ideas shared at the organization? How is information shared? And do you assess employee belonging and inclusiveness? And you can look out for hierarchical responses, or here maybe make sure you hear for red flags, like, oh, maybe only the product team innovates. Yikes. Or maybe there's lack of importance, on getting feedback about belonging and inclusiveness. Some of the other questions you can ask are, asking about that particular manager's most important value. What's most important to them? What learning and development programs do they have? Do they have employee resource groups or a D&I committee? How do they receive feedback from employees? And what was the last mistake they made? So again, asking them these things will help you to understand their management style and how much they are looking to improve as a manager themselves. And all of those things will help you to assess how inclusive they are there. What happens when you don't like their answers, but you love everything about the company? That's a hard thing to do. And I think what's really important here is that I want you all to know that we do have the power to create our community and impact the culture of the company too. The company you decide to work for may have really good intentions, but may not have all the things figured out. And it's important to remember that we create our community just by being here and networking at the Pakistani Women in Computing events. And you're creating your community right now, being here. And we can give feedback to our managers to help them. We can create employee resource groups if they don't exist. It's simply a decision you really need to make yourself. What are you willing to do to impact a company's culture? Because all of the things I talked about before that for companies should do, individuals can do too. We have to own our own space in a room and the positive impact that we can have on a team and on a workplace culture too. We create that community and culture of inclusion. So these are just a couple things I always ask all of our teams to do at Keep Truckin', because as much as I love Keep Truckin' and all the things we're doing, we're not a utopia. And like I said, we make mistakes, but it's what we do about those mistakes that really matter. So we ask that we talk to each other, we ask questions, we listen to the answers, we speak up when we see something that's wrong, and we own up if we do something wrong or make a mistake, and we do better the next time. That's how we continue to get better on our teams. That's how we get better even in companies, in our families, with our friends, is to speak up, own up, and do better after you've talked with each other and listened. So I would be remiss to say that Keep Truckin' is hiring. We have a lot of roles. We do have so many wonderful things, but as I mentioned in our D&I strategy, and we need you. We need a more diverse workforce too. We need you to help us innovate. We need your mind, because you're different than everybody else, and you'll bring something to the table that will continue to propel our products forward. And so we're at the career fair. Definitely check us out. I'm so happy to be here. I'm honored to be speaking with all of you, and I can't wait to connect with all of you. So thank you very much. I really appreciate all of you.